Hey, I just want to give y'all some quick Diablo 4 tips and tricks to help make your experience better while playing. Number 1. You can put gems on armor to help free up inventory space, and when you salvage the gear, you can put those gems back for free, and that can help you if you're ever in really a tight space, or you really want to pick something up, but you can't, and you want those sweet gems too. Just don't sell them while you have the gems in there. And tip number 2. Kill all monsters in dungeons can be done very quickly by actually just playing it normal. The Wanderers and Stragglers get teleported and a notification on your screen will tell you that a monster horde is coming your way. And this feels counterintuitive because most of the time you're like following a wall and checking all the potential places you missed to find those red dots, but it's actually best to ignore them and continue forward through the packs and they'll just be teleported to you eventually anyway. Tip number 3. You can upgrade your gear gems from your stash and they'll magically appear in your inventory ready to be socketed, and so you don't need to keep them in your inventory while you're collecting them except for when you're trying to store them for later. And that can be really helpful in freeing up a lot of inventory space. I can show you what I mean here over at this. Over at this dang jeweler. You can upgrade these if you don't have a diamond in your I don't have any chip diamonds in my inventory, but you can see that I can craft it and it'll appear in my inventory just like that. Boom, bada bing. Alright, tip number 4. If you're around level 7 you have World Tier 4 unlocked, you can actually farm Hell Tides in World Tier 3, but when you collect a bunch of cinders you can go back and change it back to World Tier 4 and go back to the chest and get the World Tier 4 legendaries, so it'll make it far easier. And you don't even need to go back to the statue in Kyovashed or however it's pronounced. You just gotta log out, go to change the world tier at the character menu, then come back, and if you're already at the chest, you can just do that right there, right then. And tip number 5. If you're struggling to keep track of where your character is, you can actually add a highlighter on your character to show you where you are at all times in the accessibility settings, and I'll show you where that is. Or whoops. Go here. Accessibility. It's for some reason all the way down here. You click that, and now you can see where you're at all times, and it's super helpful, especially in big boss fights or hordes of enemies. And tip number 6, you can actually enable a trade chat that works as a global chat in the social menu and going down to the chat settings. So if you're feeling lonely, you can shout into the void and it'll shout back. The only downside is the gold sellers and spammers, but it's nice to get that community of people who enjoy the same game and are more than likely going to help you out and make your experience a lot quicker and painless, just going through dungeons and whatnot, versus doing it yourself. Tip number 7. While you're mounted on a horse, you have a smaller aggro range and a wider field of vision. Like, see what I did there? Now all of a sudden I can see a lot more, and this is helpful in PvP because it lets you know when they're coming most likely before they do. And it's also just good for if you want mobs to not attack you while you're like going somewhere or something. The only downside is sometimes they have those big walls that you can't really do anything about and you have to fight them anyway. Tip number 8. A lot of glyphs get a longer range at level 15, so pick 1 or 2 and try to focus on maxing those out in nightmare dungeons because it'll boost your character significantly. And this is also important because some glyphs require certain requirements to be met before they're activated, and sometimes different Paragon boards don't have enough until you meet that level 15 requirement because they just don't have enough of stats. You know, like, if I didn't have enough intelligence, I wouldn't be able to unlock this. But thankfully I do. And tip number 9. Turn off error speech at the menu. Like, if you're tired of, let's say, you're on your horse in town, and you're like, you can't do that, like, Professor Oak said you can't ride a bike in town, or whatever. And which is stupid. You're still outside, but whatever. And you can turn that off by going to the sound settings, going all the way down, because for some reason they like to keep this hidden from you because they want to annoy you, I think. So you go here, you click that off, and now all of a sudden, and this also works for, let's say if you run out of time, or you have time left still, or you need more magic to cast a spell, it won't tell you, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough magic. It'll just, tell you that on the text. Like, you don't need to hear it a billion times. Especially when you're spamming buttons like that. And tip number 10 is some affixes are class specific, and in order to get them, you'll need to use an alt character to enchant your gear to get your main character access to these specific affixes. For example, only Sorcerer can get Lucky Hit Chance while you have a barrier affix on helmets, but if you're playing another class with a barrier build, you should just send over that helmet to your Sorcerer and go to the Occultist and enchant that so you can get that affix, and a full list of affixes only found in specific classes will be in a link in the description. And anyways, that's all that I got for you. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, you know the business. And I'll see you for more content, probably. I really like making Diablo 4 stuff. It's fun. And yeah, I hope that this helps somebody out there. So yeah, peace out.